I already told them about you.
I heard. I heard your voice through BBC.
Yeah.
You really use very, very kind words for me. Thank you.
Thank you.
That is a beautiful way to begin this day. And I think all of us came here and received these wonderful tags this morning. And if we notice, it does not say VIP on here, but rather it says VSP. And that comes straight from this wonderful Archbishop of ours, that each person is a very special person. So remember that. And today we're very, very fortunate to have two of the world's most very special people. The world's, is it on now? Okay. The world's two greatest spiritual leaders. But the other thing that I see in both His Holiness the Dalai Lama and our Archbishop Tutu is a magnificent friendship that the two of them have formed, and their wonderful capacity to celebrate life and friendship. And while it is a real pity that His Holiness cannot be here in a chair sitting next to Archbishop Tutu to have this conversation this morning, we are so grateful for the world of technology that has come to us and that we can have this conversation. And so I'm going to open my questions this morning with a question on friendship and the friendship of these two very special people. You come from very different cultural and religious backgrounds, and yet you found each other somehow and came together in this beautiful friendship. And I'd just like to know, and I think all of us would like to know, what is it that draws you to each other? What do you recognize in each other?
That he's younger, yes, let him speak first.
I think elder one. I always respect you. The first you make comment.
All right. I believe I have met one of, if not the, well, one of the holiest people in the world. Someone who has amazed me at the fact that he has been in exile over 50 years. And where you expected him to be bitter and angry, he's actually a bundle of joy. I have sometimes got to tell him because he is, in fact, quite mischievous. I have to warn him sometimes and say, hey, look here. The cameras are on us. You need to try and behave like a holy man. But as you know, everywhere in the world where he goes, they have to find the largest venue because so many people want to hear him. And once we went to Seattle and the largest place was a football stadium. Over 60,000 people were waiting there, waiting for someone who actually can't even speak English properly. No, I'm not. And I really want to assure you, I'm not jealous. No. But he just is a fantastic human being.
And Your Holiness, we turn it over to you.
So, when I meet people, first I consider the other just another human being. From my side also, whenever I met someone, I always feel I'm another human being. So, the quality on that level, I consider the most important. Now, you, Archbishop Tutu, on that level, I think you yourself, completely free, you act as a human being. So, on that level, we can develop genuine trust. On that basis, genuine friendship comes. So, you, sometimes when you describe me as mischievous, as you just mentioned, I return you also a mischievous person. But then logically, two mischievous people, two mischievous person automatically develop special friendship. Then secondly, you, genuine religious believer, you always carry the true message of Jesus Christ. I consider you as a man of truth, man of honesty. So that also one reason I develop respect and friendship. Then also I think the time also one factor. I can't remember which year we first met, but since then, many occasions we had opportunity meeting. Whenever we two together, the atmosphere immediately changed, full of joys, full of sort of news, like that. So, and then thirdly, you actually implement what you believe in critical period in your own country. The movement of reconciliation is really sort of the real sort of practical sort of service to a society where bitterness or distrust there. So these are reasons I develop respect and become a very close friend. Human friend, Christian friend. That's sort of my view.
Those are beautiful views from both of you. And one of the things that I observe in your relationship to one another is a beautiful playfulness and an affection that comes with this friendship. And I just wonder what you feel is the role of playfulness in a friendship, just briefly to follow up.
Of course, naturally, there are problems. So some, I say, the unnecessary difficulty. Essentially, our own creation. Many of them, our own creation. So in such sort of circumstances, laughter, humor, then really creates calm atmosphere, a warm atmosphere. That's very important. With that kind of atmosphere, then discuss seriously which point we are facing. On the other hand, the things are difficult to discuss. And on top of that, atmosphere also creates more difficulty. What use? After all, they also want happy life. Also, you see, I love smile. This side also loves smile. So then, better to create more friendly atmosphere and let know each other as human brothers, sisters. We both do not want suffering, do not want a problem. So let us try to solve this source of problem. That's my belief.
Yes. I think, that he makes holiness so attractive. There's far too much, I think, solemnity. And I once saw a wonderful picture, which was a picture of Peter and two other disciples and Jesus Christ. And Jesus Christ was laughing uproariously, throwing his head back, and the caption was, Jesus laughing at a joke Peter told. So frequently, actually, we think of of our Lord Jesus as a sourpuss. Yes, he was solemn because he saw so many ugly things. But can you imagine someone who was a sourpuss attracting children? He was very attractive to children because he exuded a joy, a deep joy. And look at some of the stories he tells. He couldn't have told, the story of the guy who comes along and says, hey, you, look, you have a splinter in your eye. And Jesus tells the story, hey, how can you see this splinter in this guy's eye when you've got a whole beam? The people must have been rolling in the aisles when he told that one. And he can't have been telling, I think he's very playful. He was playful and fun. And that was why he was so attractive. And maybe that is why he could cry.
Today, we were going to have Your Holiness come to us and speak on peace and compassion as a catalyst for change. And since you are not here physically with us, we'd like to know what the kernel of that message would have been. What is the core message that you would have brought to us here at the University of the Western Cape in the very first Desmond Tutu International Peace Lecture?
I say I am one of the nearly 7 billion human beings. The future of humanity depends on our generation. Of course, future depends on present. So we have opportunity to create happier future or difficult future. Of course, nature disaster, these are beyond our control. But all those usually I call man-made problem, actually our own creation. Yet, nobody wants problem. Nobody wants problem. Yet we created by ourselves some of the problems. So this ultimately, see here, not only in brain, but here, more hatred, suspicion, distrust, jealousy, then creates these destructive activities or destructive emotion. So, the first, in order to change things for better, the first, not only sort of sufficient, sort of, the smart brain, but here we must develop warm-heartedness, sense of concern of others' well-being. Just like myself, they also want happy life. So, that kind of motivation, sense of concern of others' well-being, once that motivation is there, then there is no room to want to develop desire, harm other, bully other, cheating other, because you love them. So therefore, to change better world, more peaceful world, more truthful world, first sort of source must develop in individual heart. That's compassion, sense of concern of others' well-being. Now here, I usually, follow two ways. One way to promote compassion through religious belief. God is infinite love. God loves us. So we must, and the entire humanity, creature of God. So, to that kind of belief, respect other, love other. Then another way of approach, without talking religious belief, basic human nature. Now, according to some scientific sort of research, they find more compassionate heart, your physical condition become better, more healthier. Angers, hatred, fear, suspicion, constantly keep here your physical ruin. So therefore, practice of compassion is not only sort of concerned about next life, next sort of heaven, or some other thing, or from Buddhist viewpoint, salvation. Not only for these things, but day-to-day life, family level, community level, global level, the real precious thing within us is warm-heartedness. So, I usually, try to make clear, but people, the ultimate source of your own well-being, your own sort of happy life is within yourself. So pay more attention about these inner values. Is it correct? Okay? If you agree these views, then don't call me mischievous.
Your beautiful warm-heartedness certainly comes through in that, Your Holiness. Every bit of that. And I would turn to you, Archbishop, for a moment and ask you now. There was a time when I was in war zones all over the world, and I kept seeing people destroy one another and destroy villages and homes and communities. And I kept asking the question, how do we get upstream? How do we prevent wars from happening to begin with? How do we learn how to build a culture of peace, to promote a positive peace in our hearts and in our world? And how would you respond to that?
It's actually very straightforward. Let women take over. But that is actually seriously meant. It is to celebrate today the award of the Nobel Peace Prize to 3 women. It is to say, actually thinking about Liberia just now, one of the reasons why the war stopped in Liberia was because the women of all faiths decided that they were going to pray the devil back to hell. And basically, they told their menfolk, enough is enough. I think, that biologically, women are meant to be life givers. And I think that when women are truly feminine, when they don't try to ape men, that basically they would say, I can't carry a baby in my womb for 9 months and then agree for that child to become cannon fodder. You are biologically life-giving, life-affirming. That is what you are naturally. That is what you are when you are unspoiled. And I think it's no mistake at all to have said the hand that rocks the cradle rules the world. I think Hitler turned out as he turned out because Hitler was not dandled by his mommy. Hitler did not get the sense of security that made him feel good about himself. And because he felt empty inside, he tried, as bullies tend to do, tried to get the affirmation by being a nasty. And in a way, it is an appeal to women, to mothers. Come into your own. We men are socialized into being macho, aggressive. Even if you actually are feeling insecure. And perhaps, as I've sometimes said, half jokingly, that of all of God's creatures, men are the most insecure. And we're very good actors. But I have found it about myself. I also facetiously, but really only maybe a third facetiously, I say, well, especially in the United States, I speak and then I get a standing ovation and I ought to feel good. I don't. Until Leah says later on, but I think what the Dalai Lama was saying about compassion, that is what women sort of would normally be. We have a saying in one of our languages where they say, a mother can share even the eye of a fly. That women, because of this capacity to be caring, to be compassionate, to be life-affirming, can actually make societies survive that are on the edge. And I'm quite willing to be a chaplain to that movement.
I think all we women and the men folk in here too would give a grateful applause to the Archbishop for the thoughts that you just gave us on that, and the importance today of the awarding to the three women of the Nobel Peace Prize this year.
Yeah. I just wanted to say one more thing. His Holiness actually is very, very, very modest. And in some ways, when he says what he says with some difficulty in the English language. I still love you, don't worry, yes. No, it's quite amazing the work that they have done with people in MIT. I mean, this whole thing where he was speaking about scientists and doctors discovering, I mean, that, for instance, people who pray, it's been found that it has a positive influence on your physical capacities. And when you are unwell, they have found, I mean, as they say scientifically, I don't know, but they say scientifically, they have found that those people tend to have a better chance of surviving and getting better. He's not said everything. If I may say so, he is genuinely modest. But when he was saying that they have found, it's that they've had. I mean, he spent some time at Harvard, where they've been working on the impact of spirituality on our well-being. That there is a positive scientific evidence that it is not just a flowery thing. I mean, that the Tutus of this world make you have to think. It actually does make you better. That when you are compassionate, your blood pressure tends to be lower than the blood pressure of the person who is aggressive and angry, and we know it. I mean, we have experienced it each in some way, that when you are angry, you feel it in your tum-tum. You know, yeah. So I just wanted people to be aware that.
Are you finding more and more that there is a strong hunger for a deepening of spirituality among the peoples of the world?
I think.
Your
Yes.
Holiness.
Well, see, quite a number of places, see, different sort of races. I notice now people begin to feel limitation of material value. Because you see, there are people who very rich, billionaire, still, as a person, not happy, unhappy person. Too much worry, too much anxiety, too much fear. So therefore, and on top of that, as you mentioned, scientifically, now sort of they show very clear sort of finding that the calm mind very good for our health. And the ultimate source of calm mind is open heart, compassionate heart. So as the individual person becomes happier, healthier, and also their social relation, interaction with other people also improve. So you rightly mentioned, now scientifically, you see, sort of agree, the inner value is very, very important. Now, question is how to propagate that. May I say so? Not like us, religious person, teaching, not sufficient, but through education system. This is basically, of course, all major religious traditions, the essential practice is love, compassion, forgiveness. But itself, not necessarily religious subject. It is something important, useful for every human being. Even the ecology field, warm-heartedness, sense of discipline, sense of moral principle, these are very, very essential. So, through education, we can educate people from kindergarten to university level. Warm-heartedness is for their own interest as much as important about this material value. Material value, very important, very good for our physical comfort. But mental comfort, these inner values are very, very essential. So I would like to add something as my elder spiritual brothers and also elder Nobel laureate stated. I usually tell you, now this century, 21st century, should be century of dialogue, century of peace. In order to create peaceful century, it does not mean no longer any problem, any sort of potential of conflict. Problem there. So we must find ways and means to solve this problem through peaceful means. That is dialogue. Now we must develop this century should be century of dialogue. Previous century becomes century of violence. So now here, biologically, as you rightly mentioned, female more sensitivity about others' pain. Now, some scientists also mentioned when two persons, one male, one female, observing one person's painful experiences, and the response from two persons, the female, much stronger response, because biologically more sensitivity about others' pain. So therefore, now this century, in order to be peaceful century, we must promote the value of compassion, love. For that, now female should take more active role regarding promotion of human compassion, human affection. So please you, the moderator, as a female, you should take more active role. Now ready to take more rest. You already now retired. I also now retired from political leadership. So now, and I really very much missing you since you retired. Now, few occasions, some Nobel laureate meeting, but you are not there. So I always feel something missing. So this time I really very eager visit there, see you, and some exchange of some mischievous word. But okay now Now this I really very much enjoy. Is the although physically long distance, but I can see your face. So I really feel very, very happy.
When are we finishing? Yes, no, I wanted to ask him one question. My dear brother, I know that we belong in a mutual admiration society. But I just wanted to find out from you. I mean, you may have many secrets. Do you have an army?
Spiritual level, yes, I have army. Not weapon,
Yes.
but wisdom and compassion.
I was asking this question only to find out why does the Chinese government fear you?
Quite simple. Some Chinese officials describe me as a demon. So naturally, some fear about demon. So when I first time heard that kind of Chinese officials comment, I feel laughing. So I immediately respond, yes, I have home. I think in reality, the communist totalitarian system, and not only communist, but many totalitarian systems, hypocrisy, telling lie, is unfortunately become part of their life. So you see someone who tell truth, honestly, truthfully, transparently. Those people who carry hypocritical sort of way of life then feel uncomfortable. So like you, me also, trying to make clear what's the reality. And also now, in the best case, I often telling 1.3 billion Chinese people should have every right to know the reality. Then 1.3 billion Chinese people also have the ability to judge what's right, what's wrong. So therefore, censorship is immoral. Let's should know the reality. So, and then another thing, people from China, their sort of judiciary system still very, very low. Becomes sort of the parties or what's in the instrument. So the Chinese judiciary system must raise up to international sort of law standard. That's, I think, very, very important. So I'm often, you see, telling, when I met some Chinese friends, some professors, some artists, some students, I always telling them, people from China, most populated nation, and China has sort of great potential to serve, to take a constructive role on this planet. For that, trust from the rest of the world is very, very necessary. Respect, trust from the rest of the world is very necessary. For that reason, transparency is very essential. So, you also, I think many people listen to you, trust you, so speak these points.
Thank you. Thank you, my friend. Thank you.
Thank you.
It seems like when you were asking the question and you were responding, some of that mischievousness and that playfulness came through, but there was a real seriousness in what you were saying, and the transparency and the trust that is so important that we bring in trying to resolve so many of the crucial issues that we have in our world today. And I think, too, of the Arab Spring, for example, and the role of youth that they have played in this Arab Spring. And the way in which it started out more for the citizens, for example, of Libya, and now seems to be more of a fight for the resources of that country. How do we turn some of that around and really create that kind of environment of compassion and a kind of environment of accountability in those who govern and in the international bodies like the United Nations? And how do we instill in the youth, the generation that is coming forward now, these visions and values that you two so beautifully portray in your life and want to pass on to them?
Your turn.
You have more experience, and particularly Northern Africa is part of Africa. So you see someone from South Africa, you see, gives some ideas, some suggestions. I think very worthwhile. I'm very far away.
Yes. I was going to say that's cheating, but I don't think that I will apply it to you today. You are quite right. I have constantly been amazed when I meet young people, and I've been on this semester at sea. And I have been on this now twice, going right around the world. And I am constantly bowled over by the incredible idealism of the young people. They go anywhere where they see poverty. They want to change that. And I think, that we ought to be saying to them, go ahead and dream. And dream. Part of what is happening, for instance, in Egypt is that they toppled the one regime, but some of the power structures of that regime remain. The army is probably not one that has been reformed. And the young people and the others are saying, no, this is not the kind of freedom we wanted. We want a freedom where those who govern are accountable. And I have a lot of time, I have a lot of faith in young people, and I always say to them, please do not allow yourselves to be infected by the cynicism of oldies like us. Dream and they are inspired by people like Bono, like Geldof and others, that poverty can be history. It is possible for us one day to get it into our numbskulls that it is far better to invest the resources that we have, not in budgets of destruction and death, billions, when we can have a very minute fraction, making sure that children everywhere have clean water to drink, have enough food to eat, have a good life. And I believe that we letting them down, and we in the faith communities ought to be saying to people, do you know God created us for family? We belong together. We are sisters and brothers, not as a figure of speech, but really. And after all, we all began in one place, Africa. We are all Africans. Yeah.
I'm wanting to say, those North African sort of states, now recently, you see big change. So now, I think as a people's sort of peaceful movement, finally big change take place. Now, I think you can show them the spirit of reconciliation. I think that's very important. At the recent months, violence, naturally, develop some difficult feeling, some anger, some hatred, some sorrow. So, your spirit and your work show them reconciliation is highly necessary. Then, more sort of genuine unity build their nation.
Yes.
To achieve what they are dreaming. Their dream only materialized through their work, not just word. So, in order to carry unified work with full of enthusiasm, reconciliation is something very essential. So that, I think, my elder brother, have plenty of experience to teach them, to suggest them. This is one thing. Then, these years, recently, I also, mentioning the corruption, almost like new disease, new cancer of the whole world, whole planet. So you and I myself also, you see, got the Nobel Peace Prize. Peace means non-violence. Now here, the corruption, corrupt act, also kind of violence. Violence, not only just physical hitting, but cheating, unjustly take advantage, and these corruptions are also serious violence. So when we talk about non-violence, about promotion of healthy society, I think these you also should mention, should touch corruptions. I think that's very important, especially those developing nations like China, India, and some other. The amount of money which come through corruption, if this money spent on the welfare of poorest section of people, it can be some significant. So I think in your continent, Africa, also I heard from distance plenty of corruption. So that I think we have some now, I think, special sort of responsibility to remind them. And then, as a religious believer, I usually telling some of my friends who believe God, then there is only two choices. Either believe God and act truthful, honest, or another, denying God and corruption. It is impossible. Pray to God, worship to God, but don't care about God's message. And you fully carry corruption. It is a big contradiction. If you really want to be a corrupted person, then don't pray to God. So otherwise, you see, pray to God, almost something like cheating God. I pray to you, but I don't listen. I'm not listening to yours or teaching. It's cheating God. So therefore, I think I also, you see, was a religious person. So I often telling people, if you really believe in religion, really believe Buddha, really believe God, you must implement God's message, Buddha's message. So this I want to share with you. What do you think?
Yes.
I think you've done beautifully. Thank you, my friend. Thank you.
I think that we could go on all day long with these two very special friends talking with one another, but I know that we need to come to a close here. But, Your Holiness, I would like to ask you one more thing. If you were going to give a gift from your heart to your very special 80-year-old friend here on his birthday, what is that gift that you would give to him?
Firstly, as a religious sort of believer, Buddhist, I offer you sort of all my sort of virtues through my own practice, dedicate for your life, for your health. So the other day I mentioned, you as a man of truth, man of God, please live long. I'm looking for more her 90th birthday. I'm looking forward. At that time, don't forget, send me invitation. Then we can test your government.
Thank you, James. It was wonderful. Thank you. You were just amazing. Yes, thank you.
And should we have one more happy birthday to the Archbishop?
Before I take this forward to give thanks to all of you, I just kind of felt a sense that because of the technologies of today, I had to stop my chairman in the middle because this is being streamed internationally and the people in Delhi were wanting to connect immediately. So, Chairman, I apologize for that. And I wondered whether you wanted to, was there anything else you wanted to say, or are you fine? No. You're fine. Okay. Then I can, with a relaxed heart, do the vote of thanks. Thanks to His Holiness, the Dalai Lama, for joining us. You said... South Africans and the world said, let him in, and he came in. Thank you. I want to thank the Archbishop for being who he is. I want to particularly thank UWC for hosting this with us. Thank you very much, UWC. Thank you, Vice Chancellor, for allowing us to use this great hall. In your program, I'd like to, at this time, thank all our sponsors, starting with UWC, the Norwegian Embassy, thank you very much. We were assisted by the Anglican Church of Southern Africa, Avis, Foundation for Human Rights, the independent newspapers, and Jive. Those were our sponsors. You can still bring in more money to help with other things. Thank you. Thank you to all the staff members of the Desmond Tutu Peace Center and all the trustees who are here today. Maybe our trustees could just stand up so that I can clap them. Thank you very much for being here. Our trustees, thank you. Thanks to the security personnel, to the media, and all the camera people around us. Thanks to the media. I wanted to actually leave this thanks for this time. I just really want to say thank you very much, Professor Judith Mayot, for doing this like no one would have done it. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And I'm waiting for Mama Tutu at this time, but I'll just also thank very much our project managers this hall looks beautiful and everything has been organized to the T. Oryx Media, Roger Friedman and Benny Gould, thank you very much. And your staff. This would not have been possible. The lecture itself would not have been possible. The live stream would not have been possible without the generous offer and kindness of none other than Google. And I'd like to thank Google. Thank Google for all that we have had today. Now, thank you. There is a very special couple in our midst, Pam and Pierre Omadia, who were willing to fly His Holiness in had he been given a visa. I just want to say thank you to you two. Thank you to all of you. I actually forgot something. There's a last thing that I need to do. So, can you help me? Ladies and gentlemen, just before we sing, this, ladies and gentlemen, is a beautiful cake for Mama Leah Tutu, who is celebrating her birthday on the 14th of October next week, Friday. It's a surprise. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Mama. Happy birthday to you. Thank you, everyone. And you may now join us for a little snack. I don't know which side, but I think it's outside. Thank you very, very much. Bye.
One day, at one of our graduations, Desmond Tutu said he has never heard the national anthem sung in the way in which it is sung in this hall by UWC students and parents. Now let's tell him, give him a reason to say he's never ever heard it sung the way it was sung today.
Thank you.